It's an incredible head thing for people.
Oh, it's marvelous. Absolutely.
Most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my whole life.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever been watching a movie and find yourself completely gobsmacked by the spectacle on screen and stop and ask yourself, how did they pull this off, let alone capture it on film? If so, I have 5 movies here for you that will have you asking that exact same question with magical qualities that will surely deepen your affection for this medium. Now, let's get into it. All right, so we'll go ahead and kick things off with Predator Badlands. This is a cool little action thriller, somehow rated PG-13 despite a lot of gore and violence, but because it's all green, it's pretty safe for the entire family. Now, the movie is about Dek, a Yachtja runt from Yachtja Prime, who is a predator hoping to gain more acclaim, confidence, and notoriety within his clan. A familial conflict ends up sending him off planet to go hunt this kind of coveted beast that he feels he must bring home in order to be recognized by his father and clan as a notable warrior. It was a very surprising movie for me because typically when I go into these more like Disney-fied alien movies, I'm always a little bit let down. Predator Badlands, though, is more hit than miss. I thought the visual effects were really cool. I really liked Elle Fanning's performance. She plays the android that Dek ends up wearing as a backpack. So it becomes kind of like this buddy comedy, like it's got that kind of Marvel humor. Not so much that it's annoying or kind of overplayed. And they end up kind of having this found family when they find Bud, who's this blue monkey creature, and it's a really cute little animal, and it ends up kind of getting connected with Dek in a way that's really interesting. So you really start to feel for these characters, Dek especially, and what I think was so cool is that predators are typically, the antagonists of the movies they're in. In this case, Dek is a very likable character and you do start to feel for him. And this is funny because this race would, be out there killing humans and other aliens otherwise. That's literally what they do. So it was really a cool choice by Dan Trachtenberg to kind of put us in the Predator's perspective. And while I really, really enjoyed Prey, I think I liked that movie a lot more than I liked this one, but they're still really good movies, both of them. I think this one just leans a little bit more towards being a straight up action, fun, kind of shootout video game experience. So I think if you're looking for something laid back to throw on, this is a perfect fit. The music's really good. They did a really good job with the visual effects, and I think even the CGI that looks a little bit too computer generated, you kind of forget about it. And there are moments where you're taken out of it a little bit because of this, but I find that overall it was very effective. I really resonated with Dek's story, and I actually saw the movie with my brother in IMAX, and it's very much a brother story, so definitely something that would be fun to watch with your brother or your family member. So because I enjoyed Predator Badlands so much and was intrigued by the lore that Trachtenberg was kind of setting up, I decided to go back to the beginning of the franchise. Now, I grew up with like the Alien versus Predator movies, but I hadn't ever seen the original Predator from 1987. This movie's directed by John McTiernan, and I gotta say, I'm pretty blown away by the artistry and visual effects in this movie. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Bill Duke, Jesse Ventura. What ends up happening is that at the beginning of the movie, you see a pod flying through space and landing on what you can assume to be Earth. And then it kind of flashed forwards to Dutch, who's Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, taking this force into the jungle to save these hostages. It's like a pot boiler. You're just waiting for something to happen, and you know that there's this alien, and then there's these kind of interstitial, like infrared visuals where you know they're being hunted. It's basically a slasher movie with a sci-fi slant that's been placed in the jungle. It's hot, it's sweaty, these characters start to kind of get very paranoid, and then you as the viewer you're paranoid too. Like, you are just darting across the screen. Any branch or movement, twig snap in the movie, the sound design's really good. You are on edge for this movie. I think all the characters are likable enough. I think they're more so serviceable to the final battle with the Predator. I do feel that you really have a relationship with them by the end, especially Mac, who's played by Bill Duke. And I mean, if you put Bill Duke in a movie, it's just a cooler movie. So I really like the atmosphere, all the action set pieces. There's one about like 20-25 minutes in that is incredible, where they attack this guerrilla camp and try to save the hostages. I was so locked in there. And it gets kind of slow. It gets kind of methodical from there. You're kind of in the jungle. You're with them. That paranoia sets in. McTiernan does a really good job with the cinematography and kind of letting that tension linger. A little bit too much lingering, if I'm being honest. Overall, it's a really effective, sweaty, and hot thriller. And the Predator looks really cool. I was really impressed by how tactile the character was. Even the kind of crackling electricity and special effects, the camouflage, it looks a little dated. Given that the movie came out in the late 80s, it looks really good. And especially the more explosive action set pieces. And I mean, the ending, like I said, it's awesome. And the way that he ends up defeating this Predator, and then you have the Michael Myers moment where the Predator kind of comes back. It's good. It's a solid action movie. I would say above average, and definitely I understand the legacy that it has. And I think it would be a really fun one to watch with your dad or your whole family, really. It's not too scary. It's definitely pretty gruesome. So maybe, you know, kind of keep that in mind. But I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see Predator 2 and finish out the rest of the franchise. You got Hard Boiled. This is directed by John Woo with the Hong Kong action flick. You guys, this movie kicks ass. It's about a cop played by Chow Yun-fat. His name's Tequila. He happens to play clarinet in a jazz club. He just wants to be a jazz musician, and the soundtrack itself kind of matches this very moody propaganda hard-boiled set piece of the movie. Essentially, it's a battle between the triad gangs and these police officers. John Woo was known for making movies that were more so from the aspect of the criminals before this one, so he really honed in on making the police the good guys. The action is insane. Choreography in the action sequences it's one of these movies I was watching where I was like, I cannot believe they made this. It's a work of art. There is a scene near the end where one of the police officers, who you find out is undercover, he ends up getting into this, like, basically it's a lightsaber battle, but it's like a gun fu fight where they're like dipping and dodging in and out of these windows through this hospital, and you're just so nervous the entire time because they keep cutting back to these scenes with like babies that are sleeping in the hospital, people who are sick, and everybody's kind of trying to escape. The triads have set up inside this hospital, so this is where they sell all their weapons from. It's bonkers. The way that they implement the babies as a plot device and tension building device is kind of brilliant, if not a little bit mean-spirited. But I think that's kind of John Woo's thing here. And he's really kind of honing in on violence and how widespread it can be, even when you just have this one cop that you're kind of following and identifying with. You get a couple of different perspectives. There's a character in this movie, Mad Dog, one of the best like antagonists, and he ends up kind of having a turn by the end that's really interesting, but he was so good in that role. And really all of the actors in this are great. I think the dialogue's really sharp. Barry Wong was credited as one of the screenwriters, and the script is really unique and interesting. If you're looking for just a straight up action piece that is like all killer, no filler, great music, great ambiance, great acting performances. Admittedly, I don't know if I've seen Chow Yun-fat in very many movies, but man, he is a killer in this. I mean, his screen charisma is impeccable. So check this one out. Next up, we got Blue Moon. This is directed by Richard Linklater and written by Robert Capello. This one completely blindsided me. I'm all in on Hawk. I was really excited to see this movie. I didn't know much about the character he plays, Larry Hart or Lorenz Hart. He actually worked with one of the members of Rodgers and Hammerstein, Richard Rodgers. What's really fascinating about this movie is it's just a one place, one setting kind of thing. It all takes place in this bar, and you just really get into the mind of this character. He's kind of at the end of his career here. He is a very complex character. He's very funny. He's very witty. The movie itself, I was laughing throughout. It is a very, very well-written movie, well-performed. Ethan Hawke disappears into this character, which is really staggering because Ethan Hawke is a pretty tall, like broad-shouldered guy, and the character he's playing is very short, like around 5'1", 5'2", something like that. They make him look really small with this like forced perspective in the camera work, and that's a difficult turn for an actor like this who's usually a leading man and kind of the handsome, you know, happy-go-lucky going after the girl type guy. This is an amazing performance from Ethan Hawke. I'm probably only going to focus on that. He crushed it. Every line delivery, every smirk, every grimace, the way that he switches cards out from bouquets of roses so he can impress his date. This is, and the date he's waiting for is Margaret Qualley, which you kind of find out is one of the more tragic aspects of this guy. He is Larry Hart. And you are astounded by this character because he's really annoying, but you just continue to get drawn in by him. And I think that Bobby Cannavale playing the bartender was a real masterstroke of casting because he can kind of play off anybody. He just kind of has that big kind of cartoonish look. Even if they haven't had a relationship past this, Cannavale does a good job kind of matching that energy with the appropriate force that Larry needs in those moments. Where it really gets more into the dramatic aspect is when Andrew Scott arrives after Oklahoma has premiered. Now, Larry's kind of in the bar waiting for people to start coming out so he can kind of get his foot in the door. He hasn't worked with Richard in a long time. He wants to get back in the saddle. He wants to start writing songs again. This is a renowned lyricist that is essentially out of work, whereas Richard Rodgers is about to take off with Hammerstein. And the way that they have this chemistry in these scenes, I was happy to say that he embodies Richard Rodgers in a really kind of empathic, warm, yet there's this always palpable annoyance towards Larry. It's the kind of annoyance that you have towards somebody who you know is so gifted that cannot give up this addiction and this thing that is killing them. It's a really good but painful metaphor for everybody has a person like Larry in their life. Someone who is absolutely brilliant as a creative person but cannot pull themselves out from the gutter. Their interactions, I was enthralled. I didn't really feel the runtime of this movie go by. I could have spent hours with these characters, which is an astounding feat because Larry does not seem like the greatest guy. You know, he's an alcoholic, but there's something so poetic and ingenious about his presence. I will say the movie dips a little bit when he has the little rendezvous with Margaret Qualley in the coat closet. I think that that's important to the character building. I just don't know maybe if she was up to matching Ethan Hawke in these scenes, or maybe even if the scenes were super crucial, because it's really when he's locked in at the bar, like kind of just sitting down with E.B. White. Like, we know people like this who will just come up to us and sit down and start jabbering at us, but then you're a couple beers deep and you're like, I think this guy's onto something. So this one's really special. Look out for it. I don't know if it's going to come out on a streaming service anytime soon. I saw it in theaters. This is going to be an Oscar contender. Watch this one. Watch Blue Moon. Last, we're going to close it out with Pink Flamingos from 1972. This is directed by none other than John Waters, the absolute GOAT. I bought this movie from the Criterion sale maybe a year or two ago. It's been on my bookshelf. I've been waiting for the right time to watch it. I watched it with my friend Kyle a couple of weeks back. We both had a blast with this movie. This is definitely one you could throw on with your grandma if you catch my drift. Not really a movie. It's kind of a countercultural piece of punk art. The movie stars Divine, who was a longtime collaborator and muse for John Waters. Unfortunately, she has passed away. It's kind of hard to describe the plot of this movie. Essentially, there is a couple who is trying to take up the mantle of the filthiest people on earth away from Divine. By doing this, they do a lot of pretty heinous things involving unaliving people, keeping people trapped in basements, stuff with animals, feces. It is a very, very filthy movie, but it is for the sake of it. This is a very playful movie. This is a movie that I think functions at a level that at the time there were a lot of preconceived notions, probably still are today, about gay people and the way they live their lives. I think John Waters channeled that into this movie and he was like, oh, you think we're like this? Well, let me show you what I think about that. It's brilliant. At first, it's a little slow. You're kind of trying to connect with it, figure out what it's doing. I swear, though, if you get to the middle act and you're not completely grossed out and you haven't turned this off by now, it's going to become one of your favorite movies. It is so crazy. It is definitely violent. It's not for the faint of heart. There are some scenes in here that are upsetting. I am absolutely joking by saying you should play this for your grandma. You need to probably screen this yourself before you watch it with other people. However, if I can pull off some kind of practical joke to make you watch this with your family, especially like if you have like a conservative family, that would be great if you could get them to watch any of this movie. But that being said, if there's children in the room, probably let them go watch like Moana or something else. I think it's shot really well for how kind of guerrilla filmmaking it is. You probably couldn't make this movie nowadays. It is a relic of that era and time. And John Waters has this very spit in your face antagonistic style that is kind of just breathtaking. Divine is incredible in this. She is a unique force of nature. Not for the faint of heart, can be a difficult watch. Ultimately very rewarding, very funny, and there is nothing else like Pink Flamingos out there. I think this is a great place to start with John Waters, and if you like this, there's a whole lot more filthy trash out there from him that you can check out. I just love John Waters. He was in a lot of the Chucky franchise films and TV shows, and I'm glad I can finally experience this aspect of him as a director. So this is one to check out. I think if you really want a fun time, you're gonna have a good time with this. What are some movies you've seen that have stopped you in your tracks, mouth agape, to wonder how they pulled off this spectacular feat of filmmaking? Let me know in the comments below, and before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. Until next time, filth is my politics. Filth is my life!